edition of the NBA Slate Starter podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Monday's 9-game NBA DFS slate. I'm in a terrible mood. Because Mike Zimmer is gutless. He's a terrible head football coach, and we need to fire him tomorrow. Ryan, how are you doing?
Yeah, I understand your pain. I went through it yesterday afternoon. Gut-wrenching loss. I completely understand the grief and the emotion behind it. I dealt with that pain with the Wolverines losing to the Spartans. So it was tough to witness that type of loss. We were in command of that game from pretty much start to finish, except Kenneth Walker, and the Spartans had other plans for the last four. But you know what? Trying to move on.
You and I had a terrible football weekend. I had a terrible my morning slate, my early slate, I smashed. I did really well in the early slate, and then the afternoon slate happened. And there was sadness. There was death in the streets. And then Showdown happened tonight, and Cedric Wilson went smash. And again, this is not the NFL podcast. This is not the NFL Slate Starter podcast. This is the NBA Slate Starter podcast. But you know what? I work at Awesemo. I cover 4 sports. And you know what? The one I care about the most is my Minnesota Vikings, and we need to fire Mike Zimmer tomorrow. I'm so done with this shit. I'm done with him just having gutless decisions. No 2-minute drill for Kirk Cousins, the most accurate QB in the NFL over the course of the last 3 seasons. And we don't trust him to make good decisions in the 2-minute drill at the end of a first half. You know, whatever. You know what this is, though? Also, we didn't even talk about NBA yet. I hate Dwayne Casey too, because Dwayne Casey decided to start and throw this little thing out there in the atmosphere. You know, you get those alerts. We have all the alerts that you get. You need to be following Loco. You need to be following our Discord. But if you didn't notice, we had a big Detroit Pistons piece of news that dropped right before Slate started. And it threw a little red herring into it because I had like 88% Josh Jackson on both sites. And then I didn't, because we got this news. And Ryan, just go ahead and talk about today's NBA slate. I'm so mad at Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, I couldn't do as much as research tonight's NBA slate. I did play on FanDuel today. I just didn't have much time with NFL just occupying the whole day. NFL was a disaster yet again. It just seems like a different week, same story for me pretty much after week 1. But you know what? There's a late night hammer and Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Russ Westbrook playing a piss poor Rockets team. We'll see what ends up happening. But I want to hear the rest of this Pistons rant.
I don't know if I want to have the rest of it because, I mean, here's the thing. You get starting lineup news and you have to make decisions because sometimes it's good to have a guy like Josh Jackson coming off the bench. He's not starting alongside Jeremy Grant. You don't have to worry about certain things. You don't have to really account for a lot of craziness. But what happens when you get these crazy Pistons rotations, when you get this absolute ridiculous where they decide, hey, tonight we're going to start Hamidou Diallo, okay? A guy who in Oklahoma City in his time there was a decent enough fantasy point per minute performer. And all of a sudden he's starting. You play him 7 minutes. He doesn't touch the floor again in the first half. Then he plays his first rotation in the second half and he doesn't see the floor again. And all of a sudden you're sitting with 5 points in your lineup at 3,200 of a Hamidou Diallo. And you're like, oh, I'm really sharp and I'm good at NBA DFS. And I'm going to pivot on to this dude because Josh Jackson is going to be overowned, which is exactly what he was compared when you don't have him starting in that lineup because you don't know what those minutes are going to look like. They've already ran 10, 12 players deep in this rotation. And now Dwayne Casey is making you make these decisions last second. Just F basketball today.
Yeah, I understand that pain. And I think the process over results mantra comes into play there. The process was right. I think if you do that process 99 times out of 100, I think it works out for you, hopefully. 99 being obviously very, very nice, but it should be working out more times than not. But that's what DFS is. It's going to sting you when you think you do it right. And it's going to bring you up when you were like, wow, I didn't expect that. It's just the nature of the game. We just take a day at a time and try to forget about it.
So if you had an awful NBA DFS or NFL DFS, both of them. If you had an awful DFS day, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. Because sometimes you get rants like this where I'm just freaking mad. But you know what I'm not mad about? The fact that we have Yahoo Fantasy, our lovely sponsor right here. Yahoo Fantasy. I can't reach my arm over because the camera flips it. I'm trying to do it, and Ryan's not paying attention. I'm trying to go right underneath there. Yeah, Yahoo Fantasy. They are our sponsor here of the Slate Starter podcast. We're trying to get our week started on the right foot, something the Minnesota Vikings could not do for me. So hit that like button once more, and we're going to get into it. You ready to get going, my dude?
Let's ride.
I needed those words today. I did. It's also Halloween. I plan on going out after this. I probably won't anymore. I don't even think I want to see people. Here we go. Damian Lillard, 9,600 on DraftKings. John Morant, 9,500. John Morant, Mr. Ceiling John Morant, where he goes for 52, then 38, then 65, then 38. And that's going to be what we run into with John Morant. They got blown out by the Golden State Warriors here, and then they got just dismantled. But actually, no, they didn't get blown out by Golden State. It was just them getting blown up by Miami. They beat Golden State in overtime, a game that I bet the over on. And in overtime, it still only had 205 points. I'm running great, everybody. It's been really fun. Trae Young, 9,300. DeJounte Murray, 9,200. We have DeJounte Murray at 9,200 on DraftKings. Ryan, tell me how to make sense of that.
You don't play DeJounte Murray. That is just so wickedly too high for me.
Hang on. If he breaks the slate at 9,200, I'm going to come on this podcast tomorrow, and I will go on a much deeper, larger, grander rant than I just went on Mike Zimmer, who I truly, truly hate.
Oh, my God. DeJounte Murray being $9,200 is too expensive. I think you can spend an extra $100 and get a much preferred Trae Young at $9,300 is a solid price tag. Dame Lillard, 96, and John Morant, 95 are great, exceptional tournament plays. I prefer Lillard to Morant. Morant just priced towards his ceiling at this point, but he's earned it. He's playing a Denver team. He's played well against this Denver team in his career, but it's a tournament play only. Just going to go down the DraftKings list, seeing other guys. Man, they've done a really good job of pricing people up. Everyone's expensive. LaMelo Ball is expensive at $85. Fred VanVleet is expensive at $8,700. I don't like any of these guys at this price tag. This is like pretty high. I do like CJ McCollum, 8K. Look, they're continuing to run the offense through CJ. He is their lead offensive guy right now. I just think they're Dame's deferring to CJ to start this season, 8K. CJ McCollum against a Philly team. I like that quite a bit. SGA, Gilgeous-Alexander, taking on his former team at $7,800. I like that price tag quite a bit. Those are the two guys I prefer much more than like the string of guys like Murray, Brogdon, VanVleet, LaMelo Ball. D'Angelo Russell down at $7,600 and against the Orlando Magic team. A great tournament option, in my opinion, as is Spencer Dinwiddie. Cole Anthony's way too expensive now. He's been paying it off, but $7,200, it's got to stop there. I don't think he's going to be able to pay that off tomorrow. RJ Barrett coming off a career game. No interest, really. I'll pass it back to you to talk about the middle and the bottom tier, if you like anybody.
I'm so useless on this podcast tonight. I'm so upset. I don't even know. I'm not going to pay freaking $7K for RJ Barrett. No, you know what this is? This is going to be me just unfiltered on this podcast today. I'm just upset. I'm going to, again, respectfully say the things that I say because we're sponsored by Yahoo. I want to give them all their rightful due, but F the Vikings. Here we go. The rest of the position, Reggie Jackson. I'm not going to pay $6K for Reggie Jackson at this point. The guy has failed to put up over 32 fantasy points this entire season. No thanks. $6K. Like, some of the pricing is just off. The one guy I will say, Darius Garland, this Phoenix game, don't let that 9 points fool you. They were down by like 15, 20. They'd kind of packed it in. Chetty Osman was getting rotation run. They had 12 guys playing. I don't really know what to make sense of it, but like Darius Garland against Charlotte, against, LaMelo Ball and this entire group of Charlotte Hornets that just don't play a lot of defense. We're looking at $5,900 for Colin Sexton, $6,200 for Darius Garland. I got to be a little bit interested in both of them there. I'm very curious where their ownership's going to lie because those are ridiculous tags, especially when you consider a guy Like D'Anthony Melton, who's 5,700, 40.25 he had against Miami in just 27 minutes. This guy gets his 32 to 35 minutes. I mean, it's just been ridiculous the amount of fantasy outcome that's come out of him. 5,700, that's fine by me. Getting to like the bottom end here, did you see Goran Dragic's price tag?
I can't do that. He's rarely playing on
3,800. It's just weird seeing it next to his name. I'm not saying that we need to click on it. It's more of just a, hey, Goran Dragic is 3,800. Get him out of Toronto.
Yeah, he wants to be out. I think everyone's like, obviously, he can't get traded because he was traded recently, or he's part of that free sign and trade.
I mean, he's got to have some kind of ridiculous contract too. Let me take a look.
December. I do think he'll end up with his country mate Luka Doncic in Dallas at some point. But the guys who I do like in this range, Eric Bledsoe, I do like at $4,700. He has shown an upside multiple times this season. It's a different role on this offense, and I do think it's too cheap for the matchup against OKC. So Bledsoe 4,700 stands out to me. Alex Caruso being the other guy, $4,100. But man, point guard over there on DraftKings, they've done a pretty solid job of pricing, and kind of like no one's too exciting. No one's blowing me out of the water right now.
I would love to get paid $18 million for 1 year of work where I was playing 14 minutes a game. I think I could do that. I think I'd be okay with that. Let's head over to FanDuel because, maybe there's some guys who do some work there. Nobody's over 10K at the point guard position. We don't have Luka Doncic. We don't have Steph Curry, but we have Ja Morant, 9,900 leading the way at the position. I mean, that's a big number. Bradley Beal, 9,100. DeJounte Murray, 8,900. Pretty outrageous the way that his tag has changed here. Trae Young is 8,700 against the Wizards on FanDuel. What are we doing with that?
I think you could dodge point guard, shooting guards, DeJounte Murray, and point guard Ja Morant, and just go straight down to Trae Young, $8,700 against Washington. I like that quite a bit. Point guard only, Dame Lillard's $8,300. That's pretty solid.
Jesus.
There. It's just too cheap. It's one of the bottoms of Dame Lillard. Look, he hasn't been Dame time whatsoever, but that can happen in any game. Dame can definitely turn that on. You want to be on the right side of Dame time. I mean, just being on the wrong side of that is absolutely sad. At 8,300, it can happen a lot quicker. So that's a pretty solid price tag. It's tough not to love that price tag. Going down a little bit more, the Chicago roulette of point guard, shooting guard Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, Vooch all being there. Lonzo's there too. So LaVine's 8,100. He's fine. It's not too exciting. Van Vliet, 8K. Look, he hasn't. I've been disappointing in his performance so far. I thought Van Vliet could take it to another level, just being the guy there. And instead it's been Scotty Barnes, who we'll probably touch on. But I like LaMelo Ball's price tag, 7,700. I think that's a solid option against this Cleveland team. Tournament options and guys like Russell, SGA is a fine option at $7,200. It's just too cheap, and I think it's come around after having a disappointing first two games. Keep in mind, OKC does get waxed pretty good. The Clippers are going to clap them, so SGA could lose his upside due to that blowout run. But in the next tier, guys like Cole Anthony is too expensive. Lonzo Balls, I think, is a fine $6,600 price tag. Sexton is Colin Sexton. It's tournament only upside. Derek White, $6,100. I do like that price tag quite a bit. On a matchup versus Indiana, there's a guard on the Spurs I want to roster out of Murray and White. I will take my chances and savings on Derek White.
And on Yahoo, to round it out, can you tell I'm just deflated. I don't even know what to say about being a sports fan of anything. Michigan Wolverines yesterday, you got your gut punched. Vikings tonight just got gut punched. It's whatever. Trae Young is $43 on Yahoo. Damian Lillard, $41. Ja Morant, $38. That's probably the best place to play him. Think about Trae Young. Just think about this. Let's play a little game in our heads. Saw. Well, I want to play a game. There you go. Ja Morant is $38 on Yahoo. Trae Young, $43. On a site like FanDuel, you're looking at Ja Morant, $9,900. Trae Young, $8,700. So yeah, we need to factor in ownership. But if you play multiple sites, you have the opportunity to get it in good with all of these guys. And I think I'm going to get all of my Ja Morant exposure at $38 on Yahoo. How sharp by them to actually price them historically rather than just what they've done through a 5-6 game sample. So well done. LaMelo Ball coming off of a fantastic game here, $35. DeJounte Murray, $35. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be super, super popular kind of everywhere, 7,200 on FanDuel. On Yahoo, he's sitting at $33. I think that's fantastic. I love the point guard position on Yahoo. What sticks out to you?
Yeah, the point guard position on Yahoo is pretty darn solid as I scroll through it right now. I like D'Angelo Russell as a tournament play. I know he hasn't had he's only had one game over above 40 points, and that's kind of what you want at that price tag. I think he's going to be a low owned option over there. Another, like you said, I really want to emphasize the point, just playing the best guys on their on the best sites. So like guys like Morant stands out at his price tag on Yahoo. If you want to play John Morant, I mean, he's a great player. The best place for him is on Yahoo, and that's why you should be playing there, just to be able to diversify all your lineups across the board. It's something that I've had success with, just being able to play on different sites day in and day out. But yeah, I think you nailed it pretty good. Kemba Walker is a tournament option. He has turned it up over the last 3 games. So if that is the Kemba Walker we're going to expect, $21 is simply just too cheap. The last 3 games, 40, 33, and 38 in 32, 29, and 28 minutes of play. I love to see those minutes go up into the mid-30s. And if that's the case, Kemba Walker, sign me up.
Oh, baby. We're back to that. I'm excited for that. Kemba Walker, just fine by me, actually, which is weird to say because I think I was vehemently against him the other night. But against Toronto here in this spot at these tags, I think he sticks out. 5,800 probably on DK. Probably a pass. Everywhere else, I think you're good. But 35, 40, you were early to him. Just another reason that you're Ryan. Another reason that you're in pack. Oh, Kemba Walker. Yeah, you're going to be just fine here today. Let's go to shooting guard over here on DK at the top end. Bradley Beal, 10K. Big number for a guy who hasn't really done anything other than, 46 minutes, 59.25. I mean, it was definitely buoyed by overtime. So don't go crazy with that. I mean, that 10K price tag seems a little different, but also we have seen his assist rate go up drastically in some of these spots. Daniel Gafford, not a guy that I'm concerned going to steal usage away, but he's questionable. We'll get to him at the center position because I think it's kind of a make or break piece of news for that. I think nobody is clueless of where I'm going with that. But Zach LaVine, 9K, gigantic number for him on DK. I mean, I think DK kind of priced those two guys out of the slate other than like the largest of tournaments where you're trying to find a guy that can maybe go for 60 and both of them have 60-point upside. We just haven't seen it yet. Fred VanVleet, Jaylen Brown, both kind of interesting, but both a little bit of overpace. Talk to me about the top end of shooting guard on DraftKings.
Yeah, the top end of shooting guard, everyone just seems too damn expensive. Like they're all ceiling price. Like Beal, LaVine, Brown, VanVleet, Anthony Edwards, CJ McCollum is like 8K CJ McCollum. We're not used to that, but it's a fine play. Like we talked about point guard, shooting guard, but the first 5 guys, man, 10K, 9K, 8,800, 8,700, 8,200. That's just too expensive. Those guys are obviously great players. Anthony Edwards has been a stud. I think out of those guys, I think Edwards would be the guy I'd be most interested in. LaVine's too expensive. Beal's too expensive. Jaylen Brown has shown that ceiling. Some interesting comments by.
But are you even interested in Anthony Edwards?
A little bit. I'm
like
very little bit. I just think I've been impressed by he's shown a little bit of growth. He wants to be the best defender on the court now. He's verbally is saying that, and reasons like that. I've been impressed with Anthony Edwards. I didn't know what to expect when he came out of Georgia, and he's been impressive. I love his post-game interviews. He's got a little swagger to him, which is a very entertaining to fun. He just has fun.
Everybody go YouTube his interview that he had with that lady last year where he said he would dominate at every sport. Just put in Anthony Edwards dominates sports. Continue.
Yeah, no, Anthony Edwards definitely got some clown to himself. He's a funny guy. Scrolling a little bit down. Guys who are I think are fine options. We talked about Russell, Derek White. I like that for $6,400 price tag. going down a little bit more. Guys like Marcus Smart, Will Barton, Kelly Oubre had a ceiling game today. All our tournament options, no one really excites me at that range. Jalen Suggs has appropriately, his price has gone up, but shooting guard, small forward, I will be going to Josh Giddey again. Josh Giddey has been a stud. I think he's priced up to 5,200. By priced up, he's just stayed around this range, and he's just paid off that price tag day in and day out. And I like what he's been able to do. Josh Giddey showing why he was a top 10 pick. And I like that price tag, and I like going to that $5,200.
Is he the best passer in this rookie class?
Best passer in this rookie class. I'd like to see people to see Cade Cunningham be able to distribute. He's not as great as a facilitator as Giddey is. Giddey has really shown the ability to just be a floor general. Cade Cunningham can definitely score a little better than Giddey, but Giddey is young, raw. I do think he's going to be able to fill out his body over the next couple of years. I think Cade Cunningham's body is more NBA ready than Giddey's. Obviously, Cade Cunningham was like unanimous number one pick, but Giddey is definitely a very talented passer, and he's had some amazing passes already in his 1 week NBA career.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I ask is just like watching. I would say I've watched more Oklahoma City basketball than the average person who's an NBA fan by leaps and bounds, partially because I want to see how, he's factored in, how Derek Favors is factored in, because we all know Shea is going to get a bunch of run. We all know that you're going to get a lot of run out of a lot of these guys in the forward. Lou Dort's going to be an important part of this team because he's a really good real life basketball player. But like Giddey stands out when you watch him play because he makes really good decisions with the basketball. He's only had one game where he's had more than 2 turnovers this season. And it feels like he's involved in a lot of passing plays. And so he had, against the Lakers, he had those 4 turnovers. He played 32 minutes. He was on the floor for a lot of it. He had 10 assists in that game still. So, I mean, his assist to turnover ratio is just dramatically better than the average NBA player.
I completely agree. And he's something that we should, I don't know what his rookie of the year odds are, but it's been Evan Mobley has been a stud, and Giddey's not been too far behind him. Obviously,
I think I can probably use my Jalen Green tickets as firewood at this point.
Yeah, it's a long season. A lot of things.
I'm very pessimistic today, Ryan.
I can tell. But I just want to round out the shooting guard position. Terrence Mann is another guy, $4,600 versus his Oklahoma City team. And teammate Luke Kennard. It's just like targeting the Clippers against his OKC team, $4,600 and $4,400. There are some flurry of tournament guys. I think Seth Curry's just too expensive. Gary Trent Jr. is a fine tournament option. You would like him to get hot from the outside. Alex Caruso, point guard, shooting guard over there. But I think he's someone who's going to get more minutes with no Pat Williams being gone for the year with a unfortunate wrist injury.
Yeah.
That's kind of the shooting guard situation on DraftKings. Did I miss anyone that you are very excited to roster tomorrow?
Did you talk about Javonte Green?
I did not talk about Javonte.
Yeah,
Green.
well, we probably shouldn't talk about it. He's like the deepest of. It's a 9-game slate. We don't need to talk about Javonte Green, but he started for the Bulls in Patrick Williams' stead, so he's cheap. That's the best reason I have for him. On the top end of shooting guard on FanDuel, we have Paul George, where you can play him at shooting guard, small forward on FanDuel, so that's intriguing. Bradley Beal, 9,100. You want to, again, talk about playing the right site for a player. Bradley Beal is the right play for FanDuel. He is the wrong play for DraftKings. DeJounte Murray, 8,900, still too expensive there. Jaylen Brown, 8,400. Malcolm Brogdon. So we've seen him. He's questionable for Monday here again. He's missed the last 2 games here for the Pacers. He's shooting guard eligible. I would have interest even against San Antonio. DeJounte Murray does not scare me, and neither does this entire Spurs interior. So give me Malcolm Brogdon if he's there. CJ McCollum coming off of a game where they just kind of got beat up by Charlotte, but he played 37 minutes. He's been the better of him and Damian Lillard in the early going. I think 8,300 is still probably an all right tag, but it definitely gets interesting when you get Fred VanVleet, 8K, Anthony Edwards, 7,900, Zach LaVine, 8,100. So many good shooting guard plays below 8,100. What are you thinking?
Yeah, going back to Beal, $9,100 point guard, shooting guard. Love that price tag. I even love the 10-1 Paul George price tag, a low-owned stud who can be the highest scoring player on the slate. I think I have interest taking on OKC. DeJounte Murray, still too expensive, like I said, $8,900 here. I do prefer going back to your Brogdon thing. Him dealing with a lower body injury. Keep an eye on news. I do think there will be some sort of minutes limit or minutes monitoring situation. Malcolm Brogdon has had a flurry of injuries in his Pacers tenure, so keep that in mind. CJ McCollum nailed it. He's been the lead Portland guy so far. Zach LaVine's an appropriate $8,100 price tag. Look, VanVleet's going to turn things around, and 8K is a fine place to go to. Anthony Edwards, $7,900. I like that price tag over here as well. Chris LeVert continues to be, I believe, on a minutes restriction, so it's too expensive at $7,800. But if he's not, and if Brogdon is out, things are on the up for him. Chris LeVert would be an exceptional tournament play if that's the situation. Going in the next range, I think D'Angelo Russell can have a ceiling performance against Orlando, $7,400. OG Anunoby, $7,300. You like the stocks upside for him on FanDuel at $7,300 taking on this Knicks team? Minimal tournament interest for sure. Love the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander price here, $7,200, like we talked about. And really like the Gordon Hayward price tag, $7K. The mid to upper tier region on shooting guard is absolutely loaded, and it's tough to spend down. There is no one really looking forward to spend down outside of Bledsoe and Suggs. Everyone else is just meh based on the news we have right now. The other guy maybe who deserves a mention are both the Clippers guards and Mann and Kennard. But outside of that, it seems like a pretty straightforward shooting guard slate over there on FanDuel.
And talking about Yahoo, we have at the top end, there are 13 players that are priced higher than the highest priced player in Fred VanVleet at $36. So you have 13 total players that are more expensive on the slate than Fred VanVleet. So keep that kind of in comparison. There's still it's positionless basketball in DraftKings and FanDuel. On Yahoo, they at least keep pretty stringent to the positions. So you get Fred VanVleet 36, you get Zach LaVine 34, Anthony Edwards 33, CJ McCollum 32. I think they all make intriguing options because they're just cheaper in relation to the other studs. And you have to play them at shooting guard. You have to play a shooting guard. So fire them up. DeAnthony Melton, $21. That kind of looks intriguing. Colin Sexton, $22. I got to be expecting this Cleveland rotation. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, Colin Sexton played 19 minutes against Phoenix. There are no words for what they're doing right now either. I mean, it's like, I hate to say it, but it's like Mike Zimmer stuff going on in Cleveland. So there you go. Jalen Suggs is $18. Is probably a little bit too much. Terrence Mann's where it starts to get a little bit more interesting, $15. But anything else stick out to you on Yahoo?
Yeah, Terrence Mann, Eric Bledsoe. Bledsoe only being $20 there. I think taking your chances there is a fine option. Barton's a great tournament option. If you want to spend down, guys like Alex Caruso is only $13. Based on the news there, it's kind of shooting guard on Yahoo is not as fun as it is on FanDuel.
Hey, Ryan. Boom. Oh my God. It took forever. It was trying to load. It's okay. We are sponsored by Yahoo, and we want to talk a little bit about Yahoo quick. Get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum with your first deposit as a new user. So if you're a new user at Yahoo, put $10 or more into your account, put it into any paid contest, and you will get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum completely free. You will be able to get all of the NFL stuff that we have. You will be able to get all of the NBA stuff we have. MMA, PGA, MLB, the World Series. Is that going to be over tonight? I don't know. The Astros are up 7-5 last time I looked. What's the score now, Ryan? Do you know?
Give me a second.
All right, you look that up, but I'm going to tell people about Yahoo because it is the best site you can play for your bankroll right now. They have a negative 25% management fee that they have for all of their like NFL stuff that they have going. $1 million total prize pool, $20 entry fee, $200K of overlay. It does not get any better than that across the entire industry. You need to be playing at Yahoo, no question about it. So take advantage of this offer, and then you get the free Awesemo Plus Platinum. What are you waiting for? Jump over, take advantage of that offer now. Stop guessing, start winning, but also join Yahoo today. All right. Let's keep it rolling. We got
Astros are up 9-5, bottom 9.
Oh, son of a bitch. I hate them too. This is the worst day of sports ever. Top of small forward. Here we go. Paul George. He's 10-7 on DraftKings. I'm going to just say don't play him on DraftKings and play him on other sites. That's why we play other sites. Jason Tatum, 9,900. Jaylen Brown, 8,800. No thanks. Talk to me about the top of the small forward.
Yeah, barring any value, I mean, these guys are priced up.
Understatement.
But yeah, these guys you're paying a premium right now. I mean, this is kind of crazy. 10-7, Paul George, exceptional. These guys are exceptional tournament plays. Everyone's going to be like, oh my God, these guys are so expensive. Everyone is expensive. Just going down the small forward eligible guys. The guy who I think might be too cheap, the first guy, honestly, is Michael Porter Jr. down at $6,200.
It's literally the only guy that I had circled when we do notes and I write stuff up before the show. Michael Porter Jr. is the first small forward I have interest on in DraftKings. I will not play the others more than like 5%, 10%.
Yeah, Porter Jr. being small forward only. I mean, yeah, sign me up. I mean, Porter Jr. Hasn't turned it up offensively just yet. It's going to happen. He's too talented of an offensive player. But the next guys are guys like Desmond Bane and Josh Giddey would be the next two guys on the small forward slate on DraftKings. There are other great tournament plays that we've touched on who have multi-position eligibility. But damn, it's Porter Jr. and then it's a whole bunch of trash and everyone's too expensive. And I can't really say I have interest in anyone outside of that right now.
I have like no interest in this position. I knew we were gonna make up time here. So we're gonna head over to FanDuel. 10-1 Paul George, much more interesting. Jason Tatum, 9,400. Borderline. Jaylen Brown, 8,400. Interesting, more interesting. Anthony Edwards, 7,900. Good for Karis LeVert. I missed this guy. He was a lot of fun to watch. He played 15 minutes. He's the most unplayable play on the entire slate at 7,800. DeMar DeRozan, 7,600. We saw 40 plus from him last time out, but I'm not going to go there. Tobias Harris is 7,400. Apparently FanDuel had a pact with the devil, and they said, you know what, Tobias Harris, you're never, ever, ever going to be priced over AK because that's just the way that it is. You're not that good. Talk to me about small forward there.
Yeah, we talked about Paul George already. I think he's a solid option. Miles Bridges is priced at, he's been playing amazing and priced all the way up at $8,100. It's crazy to see him only $300 cheaper than Jaylen Brown. Going a little bit cheaper than that, DeMar DeRozan caught in that quartet of guys and Bulls. One of them is going to be good. To pinpoint one is it makes you a great tournament option. So that's what DDR is. Tobias Harris, $7,400 against a Portland team. This Portland team has vastly improved defensively. Shout out to Chauncey Billups for trying to establish some sort of defensive culture there. If you look at all defensive advanced metrics, this Portland team right now, after only a week of play, I believe it's in the top 10. I don't know how that fares after today's loss, but as of before today, they were top 10 in advanced defensive metrics stuff. So I think taking your chances with Tobias Harris is fine. I have no issues there. OG and Scotty Barnes, the Toronto guys. Scotty Barnes has been very impressive, way more impressive than I thought. This guy was coming off the bench at Florida State, and he is balling for this Toronto team. Michael Porter Jr., just simply too damn cheap, $6,200 for that upside. I'll have a lot of interest in him. I like that price tag quite a bit. In the next range, keep an eye on the situation in Indiana. Duarte could be a solid option at $5,500. Around that range is a bunch of great tournament guys. Fournier, Barton, and Barrett, Keldon Johnson, Norm Powell are tournament options. No one is too exciting in my opinion. The next tier of guys on FanDuel, it's tough not to love those. Terrence Mann, we already touched on him. And Covington can get you that 5 stock game and pay off a $4,400 price tag. Small forward, power forward eligible. Not the most exciting play. Just a great tournament option because those stocks can rack up in a hurry for him taking on a Philly team. So that's really about it. Did I miss anyone that you like on this FanDuel small forward slate?
Not at all. We go to Yahoo. Paul George $47 and Bradley Beal $40. That's kind of appealing. He's only at small forward there. I find that pretty intriguing. Michael Porter Jr. $25. Gordon Hayward 26. Kind of curious to see both of them priced $1 apart. If you want to play Gordon Hayward, which I don't know if anybody's like, I want to play Gordon Hayward on this slate. He's $26 on Yahoo. That's probably the best place to go play him. But Scotty Barnes, $23 over there. That is a really nice number for him.
That is. Scotty Barnes at that price tag is solid. Giddy's not out of play. Kelly Oubre had a ceiling performance.
Yeah, today is going to jack up Kelly Oubre rostership, correct?
I believe so. Yeah. Tsunami Poppy's ownership will definitely be a little bit like recency bias ownership. Cheap guys. Look, KCP is not fun. He just plays a ton of minutes and he can find his way to maybe 20 fantasy points, but that's about it. Luke Kennard, $11. You talked about Javonte Green. He's the min here. If you're looking for a guy who's going to play 20 minutes at the min, Javonte Green might be your guy. I'm like neutral on him right now. I have to look into it more on seeing how that worked out in that first game for him. But that's really about it. The small forward price. I think Paul George is a fine spend up at $4,700, and Scotty Barnes and Porter Jr. are great small forward options on Yahoo for sure.
All right, let's get it cruising. We got on the top of power forward on DraftKings, Domantas Sabonis against the Spurs, 10-1 here. Again, it's a 9-game slate. He doesn't seem like he's going to be one of my priority spend ups. He just played 40 minutes. He hasn't put over 56 fantasy points in a game so far this season. Part of that is Miles Turner still exists, even though his minutes have been impossible to figure out. Don't ask me how to figure out how Miles Turner is incorporated into this team, but Domantas Sabonis, in the event that like you were to get something where Karis LeVert sits, which would make no sense. He's questionable, but I think Karis LeVert still plays his 16 minutes or so with a day off. So I'm not anticipating him sitting, but in the event he does, maybe Sabonis becomes interesting at 10-1, but not really. Jason Tatum, 9,900. Julius Randle, 9,700. Man, 23.5 in 38 minutes. Absolute floor, but RJ Barrett kind of had like the game of his life. Maybe RJ Barrett continues to be good, but I think 9,700. Julius Randle still good in large field tournaments. Tobias Harris, 9,100. Hey, a site that decided to price him up. That's crazy. That's way too much, though. I'm not going to play Tobias Harris over there. And then to round it out here on the top end, DeMar DeRozan is listed at power forward at 8,600. You tell me, is DeMar DeRozan a power forward, period?
In the positionless basketball, I'm sure he is lined up at the 4. But
so dumb. Keep going.
We're just so used to DeMar DeRozan being a shooting guard throughout all those Raptors years, and it's just crazy to see.
Spurs years, I guess he was the 3. I mean, Derek White.
Play a very minimal. Yeah. Oh, maybe DeMar DeRozan will be the center by the end of the year. Who knows? But guys are
just... Vooch. Bye.
I kid. But 10-1, 9-9, 9,700, 9,100. Wow. These guys are so damn expensive. This is going to be a fun slate.
Don't play at DraftKings. Play at our sponsor, Yahoo. That's what I'm learning through this entire talk.
But yeah, I just think it makes for a fun slate that way. And it's just going down the list from 10-1. I think Julius Randle is a fine option at $9,700 if you want to spend up. And I think he's kind of priced appropriately out of the expensive range, every single position, power forward, center eligible. Sabonis has an upside in him for sure. But guys like Bridges, Hayward, OG Anunoby here, too expensive. Kyle Kuzma, $7,300. Oh my God. Scotty Barnes is $6,800. Yeah, that's fine, but he's priced up for Scotty Barnes.
Shouldn't that be the guy we bet for Rookie of the Year?
Probably the way things have gone. Yeah, him or Mobley. But the first guy I really like, power forward eligible on DraftKings, probably Wendell Carter Jr. $5,700. He's playing the minutes. I think we should be taking that. He's going to be in matchup versus Karl Anthony Towns. If he can stay out of foul trouble, Carter Jr. $5,700, simply too cheap. We haven't said that much on this DraftKings slate. And the next guy who's simply too cheap for his upside is Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. So both these juniors all these juniors need to avoid foul trouble. Michael Porter Jr., Wendell Carter Jr., and Jaren Jackson Jr. You can just play all the juniors, and those guys are just too cheap. and I think they have a solid upside for us to take advantage of. Anyone else on this DraftKings slate that is too cheap in your opinion?
So, no, I would say not that's too cheap. I would say there's price tags that stick out. Part of it, historical pricing, but Kyle Anderson, he only played 19 minutes. They got blown out against Miami. He's 4,300, and I hate playing Kyle Anderson, but he was a mid 6K player for most of last year. And I think mid 20s minutes makes him viable at 4,300. There's going to be a game that he has where he goes out and he just accumulates a bunch of rebounds. I mean, he had 9 rebounds 2 games ago against Golden State. Again, that was an overtime game. He's generally going to play around 23, 25 minutes in this iteration of the Grizzlies, even with Dylan Brooks out. So, I mean, we're looking at him, though, at 4,300. I think I can kind of talk myself into him. It gets really, really bleak, though, the rest of it. Danilo Gallinari, 3,700 is jarring, but he's played 20, 18, and 12 minutes. I mean, that 12 minutes was partially because of a blowout as well. So, I mean, maybe he becomes interesting at 3,700. I mean, these are going to kind of be the conversations we have if we're trying to find value, and we're really going to need it because everybody's priced up on DK. James Robinson Earl, 3,700. If he starts and it's not going to be Derek Favors, 19 minutes last game in a blowout there. I mean, he's viable. I mean, I wouldn't expect much. And then the last guy to throw in, Jared Vanderbilt. He's played 30 and 16 minutes the last 2. That's pretty irrational and tough to get a hang of what they're doing in Minnesota. But at least at 3,700, the price tag is kind of factoring in that risk. So want to throw it out there. Guess last guy, Danny Avdia as well, is sitting there. He's played 22 and 24 minutes. He has not been good. He shot the ball 1 for 8 and 1 for 4 those last 2 games. But if you do get Daniel Gafford out, you're looking at Montrezl Harrell and him, and I think Danny Avdia becomes viable as an absolute punt under 4K. I hate it. I don't like it, but there you go. Top end of power forward on FanDuel, Julius Randle, 9,500. I'm not even giving you a rebuttal. We're going to keep it moving. Jason Tatum, 9,400. Domantas Sabonis sitting there at 9,200. Talk to me about power forward. Oh, Montrezl Harrell, 7,700. That's too cheap in the event you get Daniel Gafford out. Talk to me about power forward.
That's too expensive if Daniel Gafford is in. So $7,700.
Yeah, so it's super easy to know what to do. You either play him if Gafford is out, and you don't if Gafford is in.
Yeah, at the same range, I think Tobias Harris, $7,400, solid price tag. We talked about him in the small forward spot. Yeah. The next guy, Scotty Barnes also. I think just going down this list, Jared Allen just hasn't performed in this ginormous lineup that the Cavs roll out. Mo Bamba, 6,600, has performed. I expect that to continue. I like his minutes. I like the way he's been playing. At that price tag, I think we can definitely consider Mo Bamba. It's a solid option over there at FanDuel. It's power forward center eligible, same price range. Price tag, Evan Mobley has been pretty impressive himself as well. Pivots off of Bamba, I think, are Wendell Carter Jr., Jaren Jackson Jr., Michael Porter Jr., all $64, $63, and $6,200 respectively. Another guy who's been, I think, just too cheap for his upside. Miles Turner, great blocks guy. I was really high on him on Saturday. Paid off over there on FanDuel, but unfortunately, everyone else on my lineup sucked on Saturday. He was the only one I felt like I got right, and I had north of 90% of him on FanDuel, and I barely do stands that aggressively, and just unfortunately it didn't pay off. I'd be willing to go back to Miles Turner again at that 6K price tag. Power forward center, I think he's about $500 to $1,000 too cheap.
43.2. He went nuts. You're saying you got him right.
I did, but I just think he's $500 to $1,000 too cheap at this very moment. Minimal interest in just going down this list. Cheaper guys than that. I mean, the Orlando has Chuma Okeke back, but he's playing limited minutes. I don't expect that to change all that much. It might slash into some minutes within the rotation. Just keep an eye on that, how that develops. He played 1 game against the Pistons, so that's really about it on the power forward spot on FanDuel. No one that is super cheap, barring any news, stands out to me at this very moment.
I mean, barring news, Danny Avdia, Danilo Gallinari, they're under 4K. I think they're viable just because of that. I don't want to play them, but I think they're under 4K, and they're going to play 20 4 minutes in that kind of event. So at least I want to point them out, because if things break that way, if you get Gafford out, he's questionable. I'd be surprised if Daniel Gafford played tomorrow. So I think I'm going to talk to kind of the narrative where I think it's like 65-35 he doesn't play. And Denny Avdia is somebody that I think I would have some interest as a pure punt in order to get studs in. At the top end of power forward over on Yahoo, Domantas Sabonis, $47. It's a lot. Jason Tatum, $44. Julius Randle, $42. That's kind of nice. But Tobias Harris, $31. Way too cheap for him.
I agree. I think Tobias Harris at that price tag is a staple Yahoo power forward play. Next tier of guys, I think Franz Wagner is $13. I think that's a fine option to consider. Nick Batum is $11 there. Other tournament options, guys like Aaron Gordon, Robert Covington, $16 here, just a stocks guy. Outside of that, no one really else stands out to me at this power forward spot on FanDuel. Julius Randle, definitely too cheap at $42 for his upside, his role, and the matchup, all things put together. I really like targeting Julius Randle there for sure.
All right, to DraftKings we go. Let's round this puppy out. We got on the top end, Nikola Jokic, $11K. There's no questionable next to his name. We don't have to think about it. He just went for, a nice little 37-minute, 26 point, 19 rebounds, 7 assists, 7 block, 1 steal jaunt for 67.75. I mean, the guy's ceiling is just freaking outrageous lately. Did you know against Utah before he got hurt, in 15 minutes, he put a 41.5 against Rudy Gobert? I mean, we're talking some of the most ridiculous production ever. And I love Michael Porter Jr., and obviously the Nuggets do too, and you do, and we all do. But I mean, when you have Nikola Jokic, you just kind of give him the ball on the top end at $11K, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the ball has to go through Nikola Jokic on this Nuggets team. No Jamal Murray. I mean, the best players on your team need to touch the ball every play. So, and that's why Denver as a team has been so successful, because they know Jokic is their best player. Best plays happen when he has the ball.
He kind of has that Cody Bellinger, I'm always high look on his profile pictures. He's always like, I don't even know how to do it. But it's like him and Cody Bellinger, they just have resting high face. I think is probably the right way of putting it. Karl Anthony Towns is 10-5. Joel Embiid 10-3. Domantas Sabonis 10-1. Julius Randle 9,700, but they're not center. Nikola Vucevic now up to 9,400 again on DraftKings. Why? I don't understand. Talk to me about center.
Yeah, everyone has also this premium uptick in price. Makes for some tough decision points. Karl Anthony Towns, I do love that price tag at 10-5. Look, he hasn't had that super sailing performance. I would like to take my chances against this Orlando team. I really like potentially alone Cat. I think that's a solid option to consider. Just going down the list here, I think we talked on Julius Randle, Nurkic, Capella, Pirtle, Bamba are all great tournament options. Obviously, seeing them in the 7 range makes things a little difficult at times, but I think Montrezl Harrell, if there is no Dan Gafford, I think 6,700 makes for a great play. But Miles Turner, $5,900. I think that is a pivot off of Wendell Carter Jr., but you can play them both. And I think $5,900 Miles Turner is probably one of my more favorite center options tomorrow. And Jaren Jackson Jr., we touched on, has center eligibility. But outside of that, no one really below that price range I want to make a priority. Mitchell Robinson can get there with the blocks, but outside of that, it's really about it.
I want to make a case for Zubats. I can't make a case for Zubats. I will make a case for Steven Adams. Steven Adams is 4,900. You have Nikola Jokic on the other side. I think Steven Adams, as long as this game stays close, is going to play 30 plus minutes. And I think he's the best play at center underneath 5K, period. And I don't think it's remotely close. I think Steven Adams needs to be a priority of lineups in the event that you get the news that, he's fine to go. And again, I don't see any reason that he wouldn't be starting in this spot. So I think I'm going to have an irrational amount of Steven Adams. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's a great option to consider. The opportunity cost, obviously, in center, missing on guys like Jokic, Cat, could put up 60 or 70, right? And Steven Adams in this type of matchup can put up 40, and that'd be amazing. So keep that in mind. I'm really interested to see how this role progresses on this Memphis team going forward.
And for me, if you get Daniel Gafford out, 6,700 Montrezl Harrell is my favorite play on the slate. So I will have a crazy amount of him too. All right, going to center at FanDuel, Nikola Jokic 11-2. Holy shit. Karl Anthony Towns 10-4. Joel Embiid 9,700. Joel Embiid 9,700. We found a price tag that I think is too cheap for somebody. Talk to me about center there.
Yeah, center over on FanDuel, I think all those three of those guys, if you want to mix and match those studs, can't fault you there. I really like Embiid at sub 10K. Next range of guys, we see Sabonis, Vooch, Harrell. Harrell's, I think, a little too expensive with the situation with Gafford. If Gafford were in or out, like I touched on FanDuel. Vucevic, $8,400. I do think that's a price tag that we can target on Chicago on FanDuel, where we're rostering only one center. Next group, the tier, Bamba, we touched on, has center eligibility here. It's a solid pricing. Mobley. I like Clint Capella's price tag, $6,400. I would like him to play north of 30 minutes consistently to make it even a better play, but $6,400 Capella, definitely have some interest there. I think it's a nice pivot off of 6K Miles Turner. But that's center for you. A 9-game slate. We got some studs and some decent mid-tier value. No one too cheap that I would like to go out of my way to roster. So Yahoo center slate. FanDuel center slate is kind of cool. It's going to be a fun puzzle to figure out tomorrow throughout the news and ownership.
I mean, Steven Adams, 6,100 over there. I'm not going to play him there. He's a DraftKings only play. So, and you get the double bonus, and he's going to have to be on the floor a lot against Jokic. So, love with that. Let's go to Yahoo. Let's round this puppy out. Nikola Jokic, $52. Holy mother of God, $52 for Nikola Jokic. He's the most expensive play on the slate by $4. Wow. Joel Embiid, $48 there. Karl Anthony Towns, $45. I think that might be the spot where we want to play our boy Cat, no?
Yeah, I think Cat's a solid option, $45 on Yahoo. I think the next tier guys, I mean, Turner is 26, it's okay. Montrezl Harrell is 24, Capella is 24. Al Horford has been solid at $23, and Mason Plumlee and Adams, $19 here, and Carter Jr., $19. The Yahoo center slate, Carter Jr., after Carter Jr., no one really excites me, but man, there's a ton of guys. You can even make an argument that Jokic is too cheap at $52 on this Yahoo slate as well.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think Jokic is too cheap at $52.
I think I would want to play Montrezl Harrell at $24 if there's no Daniel Gafford in bulk. But I guess you can play two centers, so there you go.
Yeah.
So play Jokic, play Harrell, and move on with your day.
No, definitely.
God, you're way too sharp for me. Also, screw the Vikings. Hey, Ryan, we just did the entire NBA slate in less than an hour, which is shocking because we had a lot to say on this 9-gamer. We're trying to get the week started on the right foot. But Ryan, any final words for the people?
No, thanks so much for starting your week off with us yet again. Hope you have a great DFS week, and thanks so much for tuning in.
All right. Well, if you're listening to us tonight, if you're out here on the West Coast, because it's going to be late when this thing finally hits the presses, check it out. But otherwise, good morning to everybody except for Mike Zimmer. He's Ryan. He's the absolute man. I'm Eric. I'm just sad. We'll talk to you later.